What's going on, guys? Unknown Player here, and today we'll be talking about a load of interesting things that popped up from an interview that Kotaku did with Bungie. It's a really long interview with a lot of discussion, so I went through and picked out what I thought were the most interesting parts, and of course the things that you guys will want to know the most about. That includes future DLC, Sparrow Racing, remaking the old raids and weapons, and of course the Rise of Iron DLC, so a bunch of interesting topics they discussed. So the first topic was about the Plagueland's new patrol zone, and of course the new snowy version of the Cosmodrome. Now, there's been a lot of confusion about that, and I myself was very confused for the longest time about how that actually was going to be implemented into the game, whether the entire Cosmodrome was going to be overhauled with the new Devil Splicer stuff and also the snow on it. You've seen the images of the new kind of version of some of the areas in the Cosmodrome, and I had no idea how it was actually going to work. They actually gave a little bit of clarification on how it is going to be in the Rise of Iron. So as it turns out, the new kind of snowy, different version of the Cosmodrome, that exists in the patrol version of the Plagueland. So of course, if you go into Earth with the Rise of Iron, there are going to be two new patrol icons, little green icons you go into patrol. If you select the normal version, you're going to get the normal Cosmodrome, but if you select the Plaguelands, you're able to access the Plaguelands, of course, but also make your way through the massive hole in the wall and also go into the old version of the Cosmodrome that is now covered in snow. So as you've probably seen, there's quite a lot of transformation to the areas in the Cosmodrome of Old Russia. The main thing is that there's a massive gaping hole in the wall, and the Fallen or someone has actually blown a part of it off. So that of course wouldn't make sense if you were to start the campaign of Destiny and you started off in that area where your ghost revives you. There would be a massive hole there, which wouldn't make any sense, and of course you couldn't go through the wall and start doing your mission. So that only exists if you go into patrol of the Plaguelands, and that is where you see the new version, the futuristic version of the Cosmodrome that's got snow, and the Seaver Tech and the Devil Splicers have been through there, cutting stuff open. So that is mechanically how it's going to work, and that is where you're going to see the new version of the Cosmodrome. We don't know exactly how many areas are going to be kind of revamped with the snow and the Seaver Tech. So far we've seen areas like the Rocket Yard and the Divide, so it seems like it's going to be maybe a few areas of it, but I'm glad they actually clarified that, and it makes a lot of sense how they're actually going to be doing this transformation. The next topic of discussion was about the campaign and the story of the Rise of Iron. They did mention how the campaign actually begins, and one of the first things you do is taking back the Felwinter's Peak social space. As you guys probably know, the new actual social space in the Rise of Iron expansion that we're getting, you have to take it back from the Fallen. There'll be Fallen enemies there. You start off the campaign actually going through it, wiping them out, and then the social space becomes yours to actually go in and do stuff there. But now we know that's actually one of the very first things you do in the Rise of Iron story. And another thing they said is how the pacing of the story is also completely unique. That's something they said multiple times, and the story and the pacing is completely unique to the Rise of Iron, and apparently in some way it's different to the Taken King and the House of Wolves and everything we've had so far. I've got no idea what they mean exactly by the pacing being different in this expansion, but I'm sure it means good things. If it's anything like the Taken King, it'll definitely be an improvement. They also said how the quest system is going to remain the same, which I think is very good news. I think the quest system and how they questified Destiny in the Taken King was amazing. The first month or so, it seemed like there was so much to do. In all the other expansions before the Taken King, when you complete the story, you basically went on to just do the endgame activities. When the Taken King, there was a load of quest icons to do. When you go to the tower, there's like a billion different icons flashing and a ton of different quests to complete for loot. So I'm glad to hear that the quests are here to stay, and they'll definitely be a massive part of the Rise of Iron. The next thing Bungie were asked about was custom PvP matches, as in private matches, and Bungie of course didn't answer this. They pretty much laughed it off and didn't really give much of a response. So they did respond by saying the whole PvP Crucible experience is something we're super excited to talk about, and maybe down the line we'll roll out Lord Saladin and talk about some more Iron Banner stuff. We'll definitely have a new PvP mode and also some new maps. Kind of expected there they wouldn't give any response about custom PvP matches. We have no idea whether they're actually going to come or not, and it seems Bungie have kept very quiet about it, but we definitely are going to be getting a new mode and of course new maps. It really does make me wonder how Iron Banner is going to be after the expansion, because of course the whole point of Iron Banner and Lord Saladin being there was to train us for things like we're actually going to do in this campaign, but now we're actually going to go do those things and basically become Iron Lords ourselves and fight the Fallen for Lord Saladin. I can't imagine him just like hosting the normal Iron Banner and just being like same as usual. I'm betting Iron Banner is probably going to be very different after, and it may be more themed about being Iron Lords and maybe maintaining that. So maybe that's something to do with the new PvP mode, but I'm definitely curious to see how Iron Banner is going to be with the Rise of Iron, because like I said, it wouldn't really make much sense for Lord Saladin to be there same as usual and for us to go back to the same thing we've been doing for the last 2 years. So next up they were asked, is there going to be more DLC and is there going to be more live events, and they responded saying the idea is all of the above. And they said, we want to get to a place where we can ship really great expansions like Rise of Iron, and also cool events like Festival of the Lost, and that's the sort of full library of stuff they want to deliver. And they also want to keep more regular content for players. So they said it's more about the live content updates throughout the year, which includes DLC and expansions. So to me, it sounds like Year 3 might have some more expansions up its sleeve before we get Destiny 2 eventually. So hopefully there'll be a couple expansions in there in addition to the live events, and to me that is definitely good news. So the most interesting responses were when they were asked about remaking old raids, and essentially they said that they're never just going to bump up the light level or an activity and just bring back the raids for the sake of it. And if they are going to do it, they want it to be for a purpose and they want to have a reason to exist. So it seems like remaking the old raids isn't completely ruled out at all. It seems to be a very big possibility they are working on and thinking about, but it seems obviously they want to focus on new content like Rise of Iron. I think we can all agree we would definitely prefer this new Fallen Earth raid and a new raid completely, as opposed to just the Vault of Glass being brought up with maybe some new stuff. But I'm pretty surprised their response. It sounds like they're definitely going to be thinking about it and trying to think about how to bring back the old raids, but they're going to be thinking about how to do it properly and not just bump up the light level, and it has to be meaningful to us players. Now, on the similar topic of remaking stuff, they were also asked about remaking old weapons and bringing them back to the current light level, specifically the Fatebringer and also Vex Mythoclast, and the response is that it has to make sense thematically. Of course, the Alahorn makes complete sense with the theme of the Rise of Iron, but of course the Vex Mythoclast does not. So possibly if we get a Vex expansion, I would expect something like the Vex Mythoclast or the Fatebringer to return, because it has to make sense with the theme of the expansion. That's why things like the Kvostov is going to be returning, and it's all about things that make sense with the expansion. Now, next up, they were asked about Sparrow Racing, and which we've heard Bungie talk about numerous times. Once again, they said that fans really loved it, and it's still there, but like the old raids, they'll only bring it back if it has a purpose. So from that, I'm guessing we won't be getting the same old Sparrow Racing with the same two maps, and if they are going to bring back Sparrow Racing, it's going to be completely different and brand new with brand new maps. So I'm guessing they're not just going to want it to be kind of the simple thing that returns like Iron Banner, and is more or less the same thing. They want Sparrow Racing to be completely new. So I'm guessing when Sparrow Racing does eventually make a return, it's going to be completely different with some new features and some new maps. And I'm thinking that is why it's taken so long. So they don't just want to bring it back with the same two maps. They want it to be completely new and different and feel like a fresh experience. Those are some of the interesting things they talked about in the Kotaku interview with Bungie. I'll leave a link to it in the description if you want to read the full thing and see all the details and everything that was said. But it's really interesting to hear them talk about those topics. And of course, leave your comments down below this video with your thoughts on everything I've talked about Sparrow Racing and remaking raids, and of course the DLC. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Always love reading your comments. Drop a like rating on the video if you enjoyed it. I massively appreciate all your support, and I'll see you guys in the next video.